Hello, welcome to my channel. This is Beverly, Fabulously Functional. One of the things I do on Monday, and today is Monday, January the 25th. One of the things I try to do on Monday is I go through the refrigerator after I've had my Bev's Midday Cafe and made it through on week and look and see what needs to go and what things need to be used as soon as possible. One of the things about going plant-based and vegan is that many of the organic things I buy, you have to use them in a certain amount of time because they have no preservatives and those kind of things in them. So I usually do a scope over my refrigerator, my things in my pantry, the things that sit out in my fruit baskets and vegetable baskets, and I look and see what creative dishes I can come up with to first and foremost salvage the food I have before it goes to waste, and just to begin to prepare for the next week what the menu is going to be and what me and my husband will be eating. So as I went through the fridge, I found some things. One of the things I've had for a while, and you've probably seen in several of my videos, is this spaghetti squash. So today we're going to cut this spaghetti squash. We're going to cook that. Along with that, we're going to roast some other vegetables that I've had sitting around. I've had some mini peppers sitting around. And you can tell when they start sitting around because they start to wrinkle a little bit. But they're still useful. I had a bell pepper that was green and now it's turning red and kind of wrinkling, but it's still of good use. I baked some sweet potatoes, and I baked too many. And so I sliced them, and I'm going to take the meat out of them, and I'm going to use those, and I'm going to roast these peppers, and we're going to make some sweet potato hummus. I think I've made that for you before. It was delicious. So what I'm going to do is I've got my peppers sitting here on this cookie sheet with parchment, and I'm getting ready to put them in the oven. Got my oven at 450 degrees. But not only am I going to roast those peppers, and all you do is set those on there and roast them, and then I'll turn them halfway through. As they get blackened on one side, then I flip them over and they get blackened on the other side. And then I pull them out, wait till they cool, and then I begin to peel the skin off and seed them and prepare them for my sweet potato hummus. But the other thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and cut open this spaghetti squash, take the seeds out, season it, lay it flat down on this parchment along with my peppers, and place all of these vegetables in the oven so that they can begin to roast and we can begin to cook those. So let's start doing that first. And then while that's going on in the oven, then we'll move on to some other things that I have here in my kitchen that I want to use before they go bad. And the one thing about it is I can go ahead and my fresh things, I can go ahead and prepare them and cook them, and then I can put them away. And me and Dr. Woodard can eat on those during the week, while I'm preparing for the next week's menu, which I start preparing pretty much on Friday and deliver those items, or they get picked up on Sundays. So, without further ado, I'm going to turn your attention down here to my cutting board. My new cutting board, I found this beautiful bamboo cutting board, and it says all the way around it, bless this home. But I love it. Bamboo is great for cutting vegetables and things on. And of course, you know not to put it in the dishwasher. You keep it clean in the sink, and then you allow it to dry. But so here's my spaghetti squash. Gonna cut it open. Got me a nice little knife here. I'm just gonna put it down the middle here and then slice right down. One thing about squashes, they're not the easiest things to cut because they're almost like gourds. And say like this one right here, it's got some muscles to it. So I'm gonna come down this way. What I gotta do is get through that stem. Let me see. Let me try this serrated knife where I can saw a little bit. Well, it still don't want me to. There we go. Okay, so inside you see the seeds. And what we're going to do is we're going to take those seeds out because we don't want the seeds. So I'm just taking a regular old spoon and I'm going to pull down on these seeds. Now I literally could keep these seeds and dry them out, and I don't know, I've never tried to grow spaghetti squash, but I'm sure I could grow it. So some people do that. They keep their seeds. They don't discard them. And one thing you should know about vegetables, and fruits, if they don't have seeds in them, then they can't be reproduced. And if they can't be reproduced, then they have been genetically modified, okay? All fruits and vegetables should be able to reproduce. But if they don't have seeds, you can't reproduce them. And if they're seedless, grapes, cucumbers, watermelons, lemons, if they're seedless, they cannot be reproduced. And that means they have been genetically modified. Okay? Alright, so that's pretty good. I got the seeds out of that side. Now we're going to get the seeds out of this side. And I'm just scraping. That's what I'm doing. Pulling those seeds out of there. And the extra fiber. I won't put too much of the fiber, because I may be getting some squash. Okay, so there you have it. I have the cleaned out the, if you will, seeds. The next thing I do with spaghetti squash is you poke holes with a fork in the top part, and well, in the outside part, so that when it's roasting upside down, the heat and the seasonings can go through. Okay, so I'm just gonna go. Uh-oh, I went too far that time. That's okay. Just gonna poke a few holes in the squash. Go down the middle and a few times on the side. Okay, so that while it's down, the heat can still go through and cook the squash. Okay, so there you have it. Now I'm going to season it. I've got some, I think what I want to do is put some oil on it first. Just a little bit of oil on the bottom side. I've got in here some, which one is in here? I have in here the grapeseed oil. That's what's in here, grapeseed oil. So I'm going to put some grapeseed oil. I'm going to make it like a little pool of it in each one of these. And then I'm going to take my silicone brush and I'm going to brush the oil all over this spaghetti squash on the inside. All right. And so I've brushed that on the inside. Now I'm going to add some seasonings. I've got here some Greek seasoning. I'm going to add a little bit of that in there. I'm going to add just a little bit of pepper. Now Greek seasoning has pepper too, but not as much pepper as I would like. I'm going to add some nutmeg. I want this to be kind of a sweet dish. I'm going to add some nutmeg and some cinnamon. Oh, this smells wonderful. All right, and now that I've added all that in there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it, turn it upside down, put it on the parchment. Like that with the peppers. These, of course, are going to take a little bit longer than the peppers. And then I'm going to put them in the oven. So, want to, gotta make sure I don't get my cord from my camera caught in here. Sorry about that. There we go. Okay, then we're going to slide that on in there so that can start cooking. Alright, so while that's cooking, we're going to move on to something else. Here I have some leftover peppers and onions. So I'm going to do something with that. I'm going to make and I've got some parsley here that I'm going to use. The parsley is going to be a part of my sweet potato hummus, and so is this fresh garlic. This is the last bit of garlic out of a bag of garlic I had. I've got some fresh kale greens, and I'm going to cook those, and I'm going to saute some onions and some peppers in a pan with oil, and then I'm going to add them to these greens. And then I'm going to take some of that cashew Alfredo sauce that I made for my Alfredo dish and pour it over the kale greens and eat, and that's going to be delicious. So right now I've got to get 2 pots boiling. 1 pot of water for my greens, or I may have, if I have some vegetable stock, I'm going to use part of vegetable stock. And then I need another pot of water to just slightly boil these extra sweet potatoes that I have. And that's how we're going to make sweet potato kind of hash or stir fry. So got to boil these so they can get semi-cooked, so they'll be easily peeled, and then I can chunk them, and then I can like fry them in the pan. So that's what I'm going to do with these. So I need a pot for this, and I need a pot for the greens. So hold your mule, and I will be back. Okay, I'm back, and I got my waters boiling over here. I'm going to turn it so you can see the 2 pots that are boiling over here. As you see, this little smaller one is on one. So I'm going to sprinkle some pink Himalayan salt in this pot, because this is where my kale greens are going. Just a little bit. Sprinkle some of that in there. And then I have in here regular water, but I also have some leftover vegetable stock from my carrots when I made my carrot dogs. So when I boil my carrots for my carrot dogs, I keep the carrot stock, and I use it for cooking. Okay, and that's going to give a little sweetness to my kale greens. And I also had a little bit of organic vegetable broth left, so I'm going to add that as well. I'll let that come to a boil once again. In this pot back here, I'm going to put my sweet potatoes for them to boil for just a little while, just because it's going to make it easier for me to peel them while they still are firm, but easier to peel. So I'm going to put those in there, and once this water comes back to a boil, I'm going to add that to the kale greens. Now the other thing I told you I was going to do is I'm going to saute a few vegetables so that after my kale greens cook for 15 minutes, that's it. I only cook them for 15 minutes, and then I take them off. Then I'm going to saute these other vegetables in probably some safflower oil and other seasonings, and then toss them right in there with these cooked kale greens. And then we're going to try it with some of my leftover cashew Alfredo sauce. So I've got these vegetables here I'm going to cut up, and then I'm going to saute, like I said, in the pan. And they're going to get tossed with the greens. Now I've got a variety of colors here, because I use all kind of colors for my peppers. So these are going to go. They're going to get you don't have to chop them up too fine, just a little bit. So you can see these are like the caps, really, the caps and the bottoms of my peppers from when I cut them and use them, but I don't throw the caps and the bottoms away. I keep them for such a time as this. So I've got those. We're going to scoop those up and put them back over here in this bowl, and they're going to be ready to be sauteed here in a minute. So I'm waiting on those to come to a boil. Now over here I have, like I said, I have all these leftover items. Okay, so these are the ones that I'm going to cut up, and I'm going to add to my sweet potato kind of hash or whatever it's going to be, but it's going to be delicious. And along with that, I have some organic fresh basil left that I need to use, and that I'm going to add to those sweet potatoes once I get those boiled a little bit and peeled and then ready to fry. The other thing I wanted to tell you that I found was a vegan marmalade, orange lemon marmalade. So I'm going to heat this up a little bit with maybe a little bit of water or something else that's a little thinner, and I'm going to coat those sweet potato chunks with this orange and lemon marmalade that's straight vegan, made by, it's called Aunt Berta's. Delicious. I made a piece of toast, put that on there. Oh my goodness. Just a sweet, tangy, citrusy taste. And I said, man, that would taste good over some sweet potatoes, some type of sweet potato. So I'm going to try that. But while these are boiling, and while my water is coming to a boil for my kale greens, I'm going to go ahead and put these in here. These are the last of my kale greens for this week. So I'm going to go ahead and cook them. And my leftover carrot stock, organic vegetable stock, and then some additional water. Okay, so that's going to begin to boil. Drop one of my peppers. So we're going to let that begin to boil. I'm going to take these sweet potatoes over here, and we're going to pull the meat out of this. So when I get ready for my peppers, which I need to check on. Oh, no, they're not ready. They're not ready. They still got to turn a little bit darker, and then I got to flip them. So I'm going to take the meat out of these sweet potatoes, put them in a bowl, and get them prepared to be put in the blender along with the rest, with the roasted peppers, to make my sweet potato hummus. So, hold your mute. Okay, so I'm back. I've roasted my peppers. I've roasted my spaghetti squash, but I want to focus on the peppers that are going to go into this sweet potato hummus. So I took the meat from my sweet potatoes, my leftover baked sweet potatoes, took the meat out, put it in the food processor here. So that's in there, and this is the one roasted bell pepper I had. What I didn't realize is that my little peppers did not need as much time, so they really just became dehydrated, so I couldn't use those. But I do have the one pepper right here that has been roasted, peeled, and seeded. I've got 3 toes of fresh garlic that I'm going to put in there. I've got about, I think if I take about this much of this parsley, this is flat leaf Italian parsley. If I were to chop this much up, it would be just about, a teaspoon of chopped parsley. And in place of the peppers that I missed, that I'd really dehydrated because they were smaller, I had a can of roasted chili red peppers in chili sauce. So I'm just going to take maybe a couple of these. I'm just going to take one because they do have a little kick to them. I'm going to take one, put it in there. I also have 3 tablespoons of fresh squeezed lemon juice that I'm going to put in here like that. And now we're going to get ready to pulse this, and we're going to taste it. So As I pulse it, I want to scoop this stuff down in here so that we can taste every little bit of flavor we have. It smells wonderful. Just want to see how it tastes. Y'all, this is some good stuff right here. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. Because I'm going to end this part one of making meals out of the leftovers in your refrigerator from the week. Okay, so I've got me some naan bread here. Gonna pop it in the microwave and warm it up for about 7 seconds. And like I said, I'm gonna get ready to end this video and start a second one to finish all the rest of my stuff. Okay, so here's my naan bread. And I'm going to take some of this beautiful sweet potato hummus. I'm going to lay it right on that naan bread like that. Like so, like that. Set this over here. Cut it in half. Lord, we thank you. And here we go. Y'all. I had to put a little more on there. Absolutely wonderful. Has just a pinch of a kick in it with the chili pepper I put in there. But this, absolutely delicious. So I tell you what, this is part one. I'm going to come back with part two. We're going to do the butternut squash. And we're going to do the greens with the Alfredo sauce over them. And then we're going to stir fry those potatoes that I was boiling. I peeled them and I chunked them up, and here they are. They're just tender enough for us to fry. And hard enough, you know, so I just boil them for 15 minutes. I take them out, rinse them off, peel them, and chunk them. And now they're ready for us to do, like, if you will, fried potatoes. So, excited about the second part. I will see you back with the second video. Thank you for joining me for video one of leftovers from the week. What to do with them. Okay? All right, God bless you. Bye-bye.